I got it.
Here we go. And once we get to questions, if there's any request you have to not have that be recorded, you can just wait to the end and we're happy to stop the recording so that there's some privacy.
And about, I don't know, like 14 or 15 people signed up. So we wanted the recording so we could send it to those who weren't here. So that's the purpose of the recording, and anybody who might be interested in the program. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thanks so much for coming. That song by my friend Alexandra Blakely, and the song is called Bloodlines. And she has an amazing music that's up on Spotify and other platforms. So yeah, so we're going to do have a chance in a moment just to hear from everybody, but Mother Bone Tish is going to do a little landing us here in the space.
Yeah. So on this summer evening, right now that we're deep in summertime, let's just take a moment to really come together and find our way into this call so that we can truly be in this time and space together. So let's go ahead and just, either turn your eyes away from the screen or you can close your eyes, whatever feels most comfortable. And just take a couple of those clearing breaths, just using breath to sink in here a little bit and really arrive. Maybe any sound that needs to come with that. Mm. Just feeling your feet on the ground as well. Contact with Earth Mother, no matter if we're on a floor or we're truly on Earth herself, we are still held by her. And feeling those sits bones too, really your seat. All these ways that we do so much holding in our lives, so much holding. And now we can really take that moment to feel Earth as she holds us. And as you're feeling your seat, noticing if there's anywhere that needs just a little more space or any release of any tension in the shoulders or the jaw. Just letting yourself really sink in a little deeper. And taking a hand, putting it on your body wherever feels good. It might be in the heart space, might be the womb space, the belly. And give some gratitude for us being here together. This amazing Zoom thing where we can connect from all around, from so many different spots in this country. And also really bringing some of that gratitude toward you, toward yourself, for taking the time to be on this call, for taking the time for you to follow this curiosity, to follow this, wondering or longing, what is root and bone all about? So, some gratitude directed toward you for really following that call and being with us, knowing that even those who are listening to the recording, you are with us in this time too, as you find your way in a good pace, as you ground and hear our voices. Let's just take another breath in And together we'll do an exhale. Yeah. And then when you're ready, you can bring your eyes to the screen and look at these beautiful faces or photos of those who are here.
Yeah, and then we just wanted to say for a few minutes a little bit about the two of us as guides and friends and co-creators of this Root and Bone program, and we'll share just a little bit, and then we're going to open it up to just hear a little bit of what you have to say and who you are and what maybe has called you or piqued your interest about this program. So I'm Tracy Forrest. I go by the soul name of Key Turner, the one who turns the key. And I have been at Spirit Hollow, the venue for this program, outside of Bennington, Vermont, in the middle of the national forest, a super wild land that is in the middle of a huge 5,000-acre wilderness. And we're the last house on the road, the last telephone pole, and we have brooks and bears and abundant wildlife and big white quartz rocks and a beautiful gathering space that is a 30-foot Pacific yurt, which is our lodge for gatherings. And then we have another smaller yurt, which we use as a bunkhouse, kind of where people can sleep, and people can sleep in both yurts. We'll talk more about that logistical stuff, but I've been living here for 26 years now on this land, and it's, other than my children, is the deepest relationship of my life. And it just continues to work me and hold me and love me and teach me. And I've been guiding here for all of that time as well. And interestingly, Mother Bone, Tish, and I went to college together all these years ago. What would that have been, Tish? Like 1986 or 7 or 8, something like that. Yeah.
I'm muted and I'm talking about, yeah, the 80s.
The
I love that we can all remember the 80s who are on the call, right?
maybe not everybody, I don't know. But yeah, so we were kind of like kind of fell for each other in a way, but we had this common friend who I think knew that we would really connect, and she kind of kept us at arm's length from each other. And then we were brought back together about 2 years ago through Zoom. um, and when Tish saw me on the Zoom call, she was like, "Oh my God, is that Tracy? That's Tracy Bestmark," which was my name at the time. And ever since then, we have been like, it took us a year, I think, to stop crying in each other's presence. Like, oh my God, we found each other across space and time. Neither one of us knew the other one was in Vermont, and we've both been in Vermont for 2.5, 3 decades. And it was almost like the hand of the grandmothers or mystery or whoever just was like, now it's time for you to come together. And we came together really powerfully, and we did a weekend a year and a half ago called Matriarchal Medicine. We offered together, and then we were like, "Oh my God, we just need to dive in and offer a whole program." And we just are finishing our first iteration of that first year of Root and Bone, and it's way blew us away and exceeded all our expectations. And those sisters are coming this weekend for their kind of final embodiment weekend, and then almost all of them are continuing on to a second year. We decided we just couldn't say goodbye to each other. So that's my little intro. I'd love to let Mother Bone share.
Yeah, so what I will speak to is that, this time of menopause, right? Whether that's perimenopause, whether we're deep in it or postmenopause, I was so blown away by how little there was out there for this sacred journey and this sacred rite of passage and this time in our lives, and this way in which, in particular, the time of the wise woman, the matriarch, as well as crone and elder, but that this time of the West, of the matriarch, of the creatrix was so missing, and there's reason for that, right? But without the orientation or these containers to really dive in and do some of the work of this time in our lives and to come together in community, um, it was just so striking to me, like there's something huge missing. And it was such a journey for me. I mean, it's a time of such unraveling. There's so much moving in us. It's a time of, death and rebirth and reassignment. And we have found with Root and Bone that we really are striking this like essential chord for us as women that we all have this longing, and it's like we're finding our way together in community. And when we really can do that it in the greater earth community as well, it's just been so potent and profound. So, that's a little bit about why Root and Bone in that personal way for me, and just that I've been, guiding for a long time. I mean, gosh, I graduated from my master's in 98. So that's a long time ago. And then it's been a long journey of guiding and working with a real focus with women, deep, deep love of mine. And I think, Key Turner spoke to that way that Mystery's hand had us rejoin at this very unique time of life, and that we had been living these very similar paths, like doing some of this work that just brings such a synergy. So it's really just been such a gift, and yeah, such a blessing to do this together. And this work that, you know, there's no doubt so many of us are hungry for these containers. So that's a little bit, yeah, about me. Yeah, and then what we would love is if you all would tell us a little bit about who you are and what really got you to this call. Like, what is it about Root and Bone? We'd love to hear about what really brought you here. So if you can say your name and then just share a little bit about that, we would love to hear. And whoever wants to go first, you can just feel free to unmute.
Offer a brief experiential piece just so you can get the flavor, the feel of what this kind of landscape is. It'll be a little bit of a guided journey. And but before we do that, I was going to offer a poem, and then Mother Bone's going to talk a little bit more about some of the nuts and bolts and what we're doing in Root and Bone. So maybe you just want to close your eyes. And I find that sacred poetry is a language of soul, and it just takes us right to that place. And so we weave in a lot of sacred poetry into our work in Root and Bone. We weave in a lot of soulful music, a lot of movement, among other things. So here's an offering of a poem called The Ancient Ones by a poet called Patricia Reis, or Reis. We have been with you. We have been with you. We are the ancient ones, and we remember. We remember the time when there was only love, the time when all breathing was one. We remember the seed of your being planted in the belly of the vast black night. We remember the red cave of deep slumber, the time of forgetting, the sound of your breath, the pulse of your heart. We remember the force of your longing for life, the cries of your birth bringing you forth. We are the ancient ones, and we have waited and watched. You can say that you cannot remember that time, that you have no memory of us. You might say you cannot hear our voices, that our touch no longer moves you. You say there can be no return, that something has been lost, that there is only silence. But we say the time of waiting is over. We say the silence has been broken. We say there can be no forgetting now. We say, listen, listen. We are the bones of your grandmother's grandmothers. We have returned now. We are the bones of your grandmother's grandmothers, and we have returned now. We say you cannot forget us now. We say we are with you and you are with us. Remember, remember.
Yeah. I love that one. So remember, I mean, that's so much a part of what Root and Bone really is. It's a journey of remembering the wise woman that, as we, as I touched on earlier, has been so suppressed and, just like the wise women are missing, right? There's just this way that we know our wise woman ways, our medicine ways, our ways of being in our track to elderhood. It's so much of that is missing in our world, and we know it, we ache for it, we long for. We've probably, many of you have, maybe you've had some of these women in your life, but if not, you've ached for them the whole way, right? So it's like this deep remembrance that we're in. And with Root and Bone, what Key Turner and I have done is we, because of the rhythm of the 9 weekends, and you all touched on how important it is to have these longer journeys, right? These containers where we really go in, it's the portal where we take this dive, and we've crafted it in a way where every weekend is connected. It's like there's the red thread is like the connective tissue through our whole 9 months together, and so every weekend, and we even look at it as like almost like there's phases. There's the first and second and third phases. So first 3 weekends have a particular theme, and then the second three, and then the third three, and we are in this way of really um tending. There's incomplete initiations for us, most of us, so we're doing some of that repair, some of that turning around and tending what has not been tended for us as either maidens. This is a time where we're really looking very closely at a lot of our maiden journey, and doing some of that repair. There's healing and holing, the 4 facets of wholeness that we do with Bill Plotkin's work, that Key Turner studied extensively with Bill. And we're really weaving in these ways that every weekend can build to the next. So it's this remembrance that also brings you each, it's this group experience that also has a deep personal tone to it, because it's a lot about you. What is unique to you in your journey of becoming a wise woman? What is it that's being dreamed through you now? Right? As we age, there's this whole transformation that's happening. Again, something you all spoke to. We go through these big changes, sometimes in the external, but that are also happening deeply internally. And there can be a lot of surprise at what we really find when we take the journey to see what's really here, what's really true now. Who am I now? How is Earth dreaming through me now as this older woman? And, for us in the, Western world, even though we're all Earth-based people, this has been for so many of us, just a totally forgotten rite of passage, that is just, and now it's got a lot of medicalization to it. Menopause is talked about a lot in terms of the medical component and how to sort of deal with this or deal with that. And certainly we go through a lot of physical transformation, and we tell our stories. We get to hold space where we're telling these stories so that we can orient, like, yes, that's happening for me too, so that we're in some holding of that together and understanding of it. And it's so much deeper than just that physical piece, right? So we get to share these stories on a soul level of what's really emerging, what's really coming through, and what's wanting to come up and through. So while it's very personal, we're also doing a lot of that culture making. We're looking to what is it that we are really wanting to be and hold for those coming too. We think a lot about the mother trees, that it is the natural way where the older trees, their canopies are higher up. They're actually bringing the key nutrition down into the root system to feed some of those younger trees. And so I think for many of us, we're also tending that hunger we carry to be in service to life. And like, what is this calling that's wanting to take shape in me now? So we take this time to listen really closely. And we do that in circle, we do that in council through ceremony. And Root and Bone is also very much about being out on the land. We do that in personal, I mean, just, solo time, and then also in some group time out on the land. So, yeah, I mean, that is a sort of the arc of Root and Bone. Key Turner, what would you add to that?
I think that was great, and I would add a few things. Just the the leaving and getting out onto the land. I know all of us here have our connections to earth and to the land, but to be in the forest with all the others who are, full of their own longings, gifts, and wonderings, and are living, their own complicated and mystical and mythical lives. And to be in that two-way conversation with the other species and with the stone beings and with the abundant water here, it helps us to do the work of the wise woman to bring her back through us, but also helps us to also decenter the human from the conversation. It's not all just about the human beings. And so that they're returning to the same sit spots, the same tree, the same river, the same stone, creates this really deep and profound relationship. And I think there's also this deeper call from Earth herself, that she really is calling us now as women. Like, we are the ones, as we know that cliche. We are the ones, and we certainly know what the others, or what was happening across the world. And this is that repair work, but it's also like I'm seeing, like Mother Bone always talks about, we're becoming wise women walking. And I see this, like, just these women, all of us gathering and gathering and gathering, and walking into the forest and walking into the communities and walking to serve the youngers, and serving earth and listening. And so there's this way that we are in this really deep conversation with earth. And I feel like, also for myself, like, if I don't go into a container that has earth and psyche and sisterhood and all the things, I'm not going to push myself beyond my own comfort zone. It's so, so, so easy for me to go back to sleep. It's so easy for me to numb. It's so, because the culture loves that, right? Let's just feed you some more, let's just binge more on whatever the things are to keep you from really getting into the essence of why we're really here, and I'm choking on my own spit. The power that we have, because I'm so passionate about it, the power that we have as women, it's like, instead of the diminishing the way the culture says we should be, it's like, whoa, the fire, the energy, the power, the potency of this time in service to all life is just so much what we're about here. And so we will encourage you to, like, we will be tracking you really, really beautifully throughout the year. Like, we take notes, we look at your patterns, we invite you to push into an edge here, to continue to work with a dream character over here, or, lean into something that's a little uncomfortable but also holds a lot of allure. And so we're also, really helping each individual in the group to go toward where she's being called. And then we're holding that container for the sisterhood. Oh my gosh, it's just, I just wanted to say a few words. Like we had just some comments from some of the women this year, things like, um, I'm so honored to be a part of a community of sisters that I'm so inspired by. So the inspiration of each other, the bravery, the tenderness, the creativity, the love. There's constant support for each other throughout. I mean, there's a group that's always chatting about what's going on in our lives and how can we support each other through hard times. And for me, it just feels like this anchor point in my life and in their lives. And we also have a lot of fun. I mean, the laughter we have done has been off the charts this year. And just to know that you can just like let loose and let it all hang out and just be yourself, it's in a supported way. It's just so healing, right? To be in that kind of a community of sisters. And everybody feels that she has discovered something unique about her medicine and her path and her offerings to the world. And how I think what I've seen happen is, like, I feel like the first weekend we were together, there was this kind of course, like, oh, this time in the planet is so which it is. And now we're at the end and I'm like seeing like this, like, I can't wait to go forth. I can't wait to offer this. I can't wait to dive into that. And there's like an inspiration and a cross pollination in the sisterhood that I think is super beautiful. So yeah, I feel like that's a big part of it. Also, the reclaiming our wholeness. The tools that we use for wholeness aren't about being stuck in a kind of wounded, fragmented place. We use our wholeness first. We come into wholeness first. Then we begin to work with those parts of us that are still wounded, the little girls of us or whatever that still need to come home. But we do it from a really solid place of being resourced. And so I feel like that's probably I've spoken enough, Tish, and maybe you can kind of wrap that up with a bow. I'm like, get so passionate sometimes I don't even know what I said. Yeah.
Juicy, very juicy and yummy. Thank you. Yeah, and I would just say, some of that wrapping that up is that it's been so powerful, and it's nourished such a deep hunger in us all that we do have that option for year two, and most of the women are stepping in. And one of the reasons that we came up with year two, it became so clear, Mystery was very clear about it. It was like, gotta have a year two, is that, sometimes also in these 9-month journeys, it's like you go in, and just as we come up and out and we're like ready to go and we're all fired up, the day world, our lives, all of a sudden we can find ourselves like, oh my gosh, 3 months, 4 months, 5, 6 months later, we're like, oh no, we feel like we're losing something. All that I gained or that I gathered is lost. And while that's not true, it's also like we need that second year where we can come together, where we really work with the embodiment piece. Now we are wise women walking. And now what maybe are some of those challenges, right? Where it's like, let's honor that, you know? Um, and I'm seeing a question here. Will year 1 and 2 women be in the same cohort yet? I'm not sure.
Are
Go
you
ahead.
saying the women, say you were to start this fall, you would be with your group the whole way through? It wouldn't be like a new group coming in. So if that's what you're asking, the same group of women would travel through year two without any additions of new women. And
Yes,
the way
ma'am.
we've set it up for this second year is, rather than meeting, we're not sure if we would, how we would set it up for you all if you decided to do a second year, if you decided to do the program. But we have set it up so that it's 3 longer weekends throughout the year, like 3-day gatherings instead of every single weekend. So that frees up a little more time for people, but still keeps people really deep in their conversation. So,
Yeah.
and we
And
don't
thank
know.
you
We're
for
going to
that
see how
question.
it goes, right? And we'll see if we
Yeah,
have to
of course.
reorganize or whatever. But year one, we have the curriculum really beautifully designed now, I think, after doing it a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know for me, it's always good to hear what's possible on that other, because I do have a little bit of that, like, these programs, yeah, they're great. And then sort of what, so we respond with that, like, yeah, there's also that other piece, so that there's a steadying as we're then living the work. And then there was one other thing I was gonna say. Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it at that, but
Great.
um, yeah.
Yeah, Randy.
Ask a question, or is it not quite time yet for
Well,
that?
you could. We were going to
Okay.
do this little guided journey, and then we
Oh,
were
oh,
going to
sure,
take
sure, sure. I'll
questions.
hold it. I'll hold it.
But
Yeah.
if it feels important, okay, okay, there'll be time. Yeah,
Yeah. It sounds fantastic. Thanks.
thank you. Okay, all right. So, what we'd love to do is invite you on a little guided journey. I'll be speaking and I'll be drumming a little bit. And you can just like close your eyes. You could lie back. You could turn off your camera, whatever felt good to you. It'll probably be about 12 minutes or something like that, maybe not even. And this is going to be an opportunity to get a feel and a flavor for some of the kind of terrain that we might be walking into in Root and Bone, although it's just a tiny little sliver. So I just want to test my drum, Mother Bone. Oh, there's a piece of plastic stuck to it. That's why it's jiggling. Okay, there we go. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Great. Can you hear my
Yeah.
voice as I drum?
Yeah,
Great.
you sound good.
Wonderful. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and ask you just to close your eyes. Take another breath. Maybe a sigh. Maybe releasing a little layer of stress or tension from your body. We all carry so much in these times. So, yeah, maybe another breath. Hearing the drum, feeling gravity. Feeling the gravity under you. Maybe you can sense into your sit bones. You can feel, maybe wiggle around a little bit as you kind of open the pelvis a little bit. And with your next breath, breathe a little deeper into your belly. Maybe exhale again with a. Another inhale where you inhale right into your pelvis, the pelvic bowl. Exhale and release. And bring all of your awareness now down into your sit bones, into your pelvic bowl, and begin to feel the way gravity holds you here, to your seat, to the earth. And beginning to feel that gravity pull you down. So imagine yourself descending right down through your sit bones, through some roots, like tree roots. Feeling how those roots are pulled by gravity to go into earth. And letting yourself take your awareness down as that hand of gravity, like Mama Earth's hand, like the hand of love, begins to cup you, entangle with your roots, and begins to gently bring you downward. Letting go into the hand of gravity. Letting go of the trying. Letting go of the thinking. And just allowing yourself to sink down. Let yourself sink down through the layers of earth, the soil layers, the mycelium, the creepy crawlies, and the soil dwellers. Feeling yourself going down even more, passing through underground aquifers, moving down past an underground river, moving down, passing a vein of silver, gold, feeling how you are just pulled. You're pulled down and letting yourself go even deeper as we move downward toward a threshold. And feeling yourself approaching below a place where the earth is going to present an opening, like a cavern. It's like a portal or doorway. And if you're not already at that portal, go there now and see it opening up under your feet. And let yourself just enter and sink down through that opening, that threshold, into a cave, into the bone cave, into the cave of the ancient grandmothers, perhaps the ones whose voices were speaking in that poem that we shared. So imagining yourself in this deep, ancient cave, the cave of the bones, the cave of the ancient grandmothers, the cave of the dreamers, the weavers, the holders of the stories, the holders of the ancient wisdoms. And really let yourself be in this cave and take a few moments to look around or feel around, noting what you experience. Perhaps there's a fire. Perhaps there's torches burning. But taking some time to look around the bone cave. Perhaps you find your way around by walking. Perhaps you just take this place in through your eyes. Or maybe you bring in all your senses. What's it smell like here? What's the air like? What's the atmosphere here like? What sounds do you begin to tune into here in the bone cave, the cave of the ancient grandmothers? And as you begin to open your awareness, begin to see who's here. What beings are here? Human or other than human? Ancient grandmothers are perhaps not just human ones, although they're here too. What are these grandmother ones, ancient ones, up to? Feeling yourself curious, perhaps feeling other emotions of longing. This is the place of knowing. Deep, deep wisdom. Lean in a little more. Lean in. Feeling your own longing for the deeper life, or your own longing for your own next step. on your wise woman path. Noting what goes on in your own body as you experience this cave and your own longing. And now begin to see one being, one grandmother, one ancient one approach you. Perhaps she's been waiting for you. Perhaps you already know her. Or perhaps this is the first time to make her acquaintance. So go ahead, if you haven't seen her yet, go ahead and see her come now. Observe her face, or her features. How she moves, or what she wears, or what her skin is like, or her fur, or feathers. Maybe you can see her eyes or sense her heart. And allow yourself to exchange heart energy or glances. And you've come a long way. So perhaps you want to make some small gesture or offering to this grandmotherly one. Maybe it's flowers or feathers, or some small token that you have that you can bring, or food, or anything at all that is meaningful to you from your life that you would offer to this grandmother, this wise one. As she accepts your offering, you might ask her a question to help you along this wise woman path, because she has walked, she has cried, she has sung and prayed and lit fires and danced and lamented and rejoiced with her sisters in the bone cave. Maybe you would ask her something like, what are the bones here for me? Why is this work so urgent and important in these days? The wise woman needed now. Why is it important for me to truly step in now, to say yes, to fully say yes, and see what comes back from her? Maybe she speaks words. Maybe there's a symbol. Maybe there's an object or a bone. Grandmother, why is it so urgent that the wise women return now, and I as one of them? Why is it so needed? Just looking around, listening. Is there something else to be said, either by her or you? Or is there something here in the bone cave you haven't noticed yet? If you were to look around or get a slightly different perspective, is there anything else here for you? If there's nothing else, you can make your gratitudes knowing you can always come back here. Maybe even asking if there's anything else as you get ready to take your leave. Grandmother, is there anything else you need me to know? Bowing to her or any of the others that might be here, gathering what you have heard or been given. What's your bone you're bringing back from the bone cave? And now, saying your goodbyes for now, we're going to begin to return. So taking another look around, imprinting this beauty in your heart. And in a moment, let's begin to find that portal, that opening that we came down through, and begin to climb up through. And then begin to allow yourself to climb up, to rise up through the earth. Rise up like you are gathering all this nourishment from deep in Mama Gaia, from deep in the bone cave. As you rise up past underground rivers and aquifers, coming up through the layers of shale, rising up into the soil, intertwining with the tree roots, thanking the standing ones for what they do for us. Coming up through the creepy crawly world, thanking them for making soil for us. Coming up through the mycelium, gratitude to the mushroom people. Up through the leaf litter and up through the floor of your house and up into your sit bones again. Finding your way back into your belly. Finding your way back into your heart center. taking a nice deep breath as you come back here to our Zoom Circle Council. And giving great gratitude for what you have just experienced. Yeah, just gently coming on back, a little wiggling around. I'm going to turn it over to Mama Bone, Mother Bone.
Thank you, Key Turner. Yeah. So I'm tracking time a little bit here. Yeah, so how about, does anybody have a burning share? Something that came up and through for you in the bone cave? We would love to just maybe have a share here.
Demanding, fierce and
Right?
demanding.
Fierce
Yes,
and
I love it.
demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And funny enough, Kate, the fierce feminine is something that we really look at in Root and Bone, right? Because there's some of that has been so socialized out of us, right? And so that can leave us in that position of always the student, always the one who's just waiting, like we're waiting, and yet often what we're really hearing is you are the ones, like it's time, Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else want to have a moment to share? Okay. I think we'll go ahead and move on then. Yeah, go ahead, Key Turner. You're muted.
How many times have you been told over these last 5 years, you're muted, the Zoom life. I was going to say, even though we might not have time to hear everybody's share, I would say write down, take some notes afterwards, because you may want to remember. You may want to know, what was the bones that I was bringing back. And I think that would be a lovely thing to do. Just take a few minutes after the call and just make a few notes for yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that makes me, think about how our first weekend together for Root and Bone is gathering the bones. I mean, that's right where we begin. And so the bone cave, like Key Turner said, is that's a little taste of where we travel in Root and Bone. And that's, something also, whether or not you step into this program, that is a place of, where we gather as wise women and where we are gathered, in many ways. Yeah.
And
So,
where we can source,
right.
source that deep, deep, ancient, fierce, and loving grandmotherly ancient
Mhm.
earth energy. So it's a resource and a source.
So I'm wondering, so Key Turner, my gut is that we just go to questions and we can do any, yeah, so you can ask any, this can be logistical, this can be, personal, whatever it is. Please let us know if you would like us to pause the recording for any of your questions. Very happy to do that, but we want to make sure we give you time to ask what it is that might be, yeah, on your mind or your heart. Oh, Kate.
Hi. I am wondering, because I don't think I learned this last year, what the workload is like in between the weekends. Like, is there homework that we're doing? What does that look like?
Yeah, Ty, the two of us, and then we're looking at the around 14, so that really we're looking at like an 18 being our max. number, including, all of us. And that can get lower, but not past a certain, we need like 12 is a good number for participants, and part of that, and it feels important to say, is that Key Turner and I really are tracking you in a beautiful way, right? That can almost sound like, wow, but it's so that we're really following what's emerging, what's coming up, what you might be naming as this is really edgy, like, like I want to be tracked in this, right? Because sometimes we want that. That's part of what we're here for, right? Is to be able to work through sometimes something that we not might not be able to be seeing so clearly for ourselves. That's why we're here together. So we want to keep it intimate in that way where there's a robust amount of time and space and capacity for women to share, to be well tracked, to have time to go into process. We really feel strongly about that because we both know that, and I imagine you might feel this way. I mean, sometimes we get in these containers where they're just too big and there's an overload and you can't really quite get, so much out of it. So we love to really hold these intimate spaces. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, who else has a question?
I have a question about, I'm really feeling the wild woman archetype these days. And I think you had mentioned like maiden, virgin, and other maybe, so are all the archetypes touched upon? I also had a question about, are we going to learn how to journey ourselves and or lead circles? Or is this really more of like a personal journey and growing within ourselves? I guess those are my questions.
The first one was, are you are you going to learn how to journey? Was
Oh, yeah, like, are we
just
gonna
trying to
learn?
remember the both questions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just asking about like all the different archetypes,
Yeah. Oh, the archetypes. Yeah.
and then are we gonna learn how to journey ourselves? I really was enjoying the journey, and right when I was
Getting
something,
there was
yeah, I
over.
fell asleep. No, I fell
Oh,
asleep
oh, you did. Okay.
because I
Yeah.
usually fall asleep when I meditate because I'm tired.
Yes.
So,
Yes. We will. So archetypes. Yes. And we also know that what we have been tracking, researching, finding in our own journeys and what's out there in the world is there, other than maiden, mother, and crone, there's a million different women, scholars, and spiritual teachers who have all these different archetypes, and so we kind of realize that there's a lot of teachings out there on women's archetypes, but the wild woman we feel is woven into the wise woman. And so we are going to be working a lot with that book, Women Who Run with the Wolves, which is all about the wise woman archetype. And it's not, what's interesting about the archetypes for women is these stages aren't fixed. There's so much fluidity, in terms of physical changes and also center of gravity shifts, so that somebody might be ready to, elder or crone much earlier than somebody else. And, or somebody might be still going to be, in a particular earlier stage. And so there's one or two books that have up to 13 different women's archetypes around the wheel. And so it's a lot. And so we try to kind of pare it down, and we do overlay it with the four directions so that we've got, the east, the south, the west, and the north. And we find that there's the maiden kind of moving into the mother, and also that wild time moving up toward to the west, kind of into the creatrix, the matriarch, the medial woman, moving then up into maybe, you know, toward croning, but not quite there. And so we do, and Mother Bone is a whole. There's several things that we touch on almost every weekend that circle that kind of women's wheel and women's archetypes. We do include journeying every single weekend, deep imagery, and sometimes journeying without any words, but just drumming. We do a lot of movement. Sometimes we actually do embodied journeys or somatic journeying. Sometimes we're moving our dream characters. So there's just a lot of that. And then Tish, jump in if I'm not saying it correctly, but and then we have to kind of wrap up soon. But we are seeing that everything we're doing is transparent. And so you could be saying, oh, I really know how to hold counsel because I saw how many different ways counsel was held. Or I can see how dream work might inform the way I work with my own community. Or I see the way my own medicine is now here and I'm getting, ideas about how to use my medicine. So it's not set up to be a training for guides, but you are have so many opportunities through observation, through experience, to begin to cultivate those skills. Then in the second year, our whole focus is on taking it out to the world. What are the tools? How can I be more of the teacher, guide, facilitator, etc., circle holder? So would you say that's about correct, Mother Bone?
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Key Turner. Yeah. No, I love that question too about wild woman and wise woman. And like Dr. Estes says that, they're twins, really. And the way that we work, that I've worked with the woman's wheel, is that, it's the wild woman who's in the mother stage, who's in the south, right? Who's then really feeding the wise woman. And so she is so vital. That archetype is such a vital force to the wise woman. Yeah. Yeah. And then see, Key Turner and I could go on and on, on and on. So we're like, okay, wait, it's 8 o'clock. We want to be good to you on this summer evening. So we want to make time though. Is there any other questions? I know it's an important, you have us here. Is there anything else that's coming up?
Tish, or Mother Bone, can you please share when the deadline is to decide on this?
Thank you, Randy, for that. Very helpful. Yes, so we do want to say it really important is the early bird price, which is there's a savings of $500, which is big. So that ends Friday, July 11th. So that's like one of those
Oh,
midnight.
that's like in 2 days.
That is in 2 days for
Oh,
the
wow.
early bird. Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, and then registration will close. Key Turner, I don't have that right on the top of my head. Do you remember? No. It's
Probably probably mid end of August.
I think we said the end of August. Yeah, that I can't
Our
remember
first
the
weekend
exact date.
is September 12th, I
Well,
think. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yep. So yeah.
And then, yeah, so we will be sending out an email tomorrow morning, which has the recording. If you did want to go back and do the journey again or just listen, it will have more information about the program and links you can click on, and both of our contact information, so that you can, get a feel. And we will both be at Forest and Village also, which is the first
Oh,
weekend in August. And Mother Bone and I will be sharing a matriarch medial woman circle that we'll be guiding. And then we're each doing our own individual offerings. But there's going to be opportunities to talk to us about any questions you might have too. And there will be women, at least one or two there, who are in the current iteration of Root and Bone, who actually we met at Forest and Village and who came to Root and Bone, and they are available and passionate about talking about this work. So that's just another possibility. If you were interested in Forest and Village, we can put that link in the email we send out
Kate's a
tomorrow.
village keeper too at
Kate's a
Forest.
village keeper too.
Yeah, so fire tender, yeah.
Yes, such
Thank
powerful fire
you,
tender
thank
as
you,
well.
thank you. Yeah, totally.
All right,
So,
so
did you have anything that I just want to give you a minute? Did
okay,
you have
yeah.
any question?
Much for coming. It's always so lovely to gather with women in any circle, in any capacity, and particularly such gorgeous women as yourselves and ourselves. Right.
Yeah, thank you all. Deep
So,
gratitude.
yeah.
And please reach out, and we hope to, yeah, be in touch soon. Be well. Enjoy this full moon coming up tomorrow night. Yeah.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Blessing.
Thank you.
Many blessings. Ciao, ciao.
Oops, stop the recording.